you all for coming. This has been something I've wanted to do for a long time. And to see them all on the wall, well, those 20, I have, I think 100 hard drives at home with images on them. A lot of those are from LA and some from here. I counted the other day and I think there are 6 that I've taken since I've been here, out of 20. But yeah, I grew up in Albany, graduated from Delta, went to Ball State. Well, I worked for 7 years before I went to Ball State. And so I paid for my way through. But then, and I worked at Jack's while I was in college. That's how I worked my way through. And then worked there. Well, I actually went to Indianapolis and worked as a photographer for a bit. And then Mike asked me to come back and do some things with the professional market. So I did that for 12 years and then moved to LA. Piddled around with this job and that job and this job, and then finally found something that I could get on the ground floor of, which was TV and movie advertising photography with digitally. Because there were a lot of people that just didn't want to give up the film. And with timelines being as tight as they are, that just didn't work anymore. Anyway, going through all of that, worked on movies like Blade Runner 2049 with Roger Deakins, Murder on the Orient Express, oh, it goes on and on. The Walking Dead, 5 years. Mad Men, 6 years. Anyway, we're supposed to talk about the work, aren't we? And I have a list of favorite actors because that's what always people ask me. They go, "Who's your favorite actor?" So my favorite actor, male, is Sir Anthony Hopkins. We were working on Thor and he walked across the stage and put his hand out and I said, "Sir Anthony," and he goes, "Don't call me that, just call me Tony." And he had the roughest hands I've ever shaken. I don't know if he does woodworking or farming or what, but they were just, it was like grabbing onto a cactus. Female actor, favorite, Selma Blair. We were working on Hellboy 2 in a cave in Budapest. And we had some time down and we started a conversation. And she's just been real nice every time you meet her. Okay, so George Clooney, once you've met him, he will always remember you. So he yelled across the room one time. When things were, I was using IMAX, we would shoot into IMAX and I would have the actors sign the back of them, or the sports person or whatever, and then I do that twice a year and then sell them at charity auctions. And Clooney, we were at his house and he has this big room and he wasn't there yet. And I was set up across the room. He walked in, looked at it, and he goes, "Hey, are you still doing that?" And then he said, "Is that such and such's signature on the back?" Ted Danson, that's who it was. He goes, "Is that Ted Danson's signature on the back?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Oh, I love Ted Danson." You know? So he got it from his aunt, Rosemary Clooney. She taught him how to deal with everybody. Anyway, back to the work. Like this says, it's 6 years, kind of 6 years worth of not totally 6 years because there are only 20 images, but that's how long it is from the newest to the oldest, I think. This, I believe, may be the oldest. But they were shot, a lot of them shot in Los Angeles, 2 of them in England, and about, like I said before, about 6 of them in Muncie. Some with natural light, some with studio light, some with just catch can. Like this one, I haven't talked about the picture with the man in the top hat yet, have I?
No.
Okay, good. So this one, that's at the Cow Pub off Potrero Road in London. And our crew, we were there working on a movie poster, and we'd been there before, and on Sunday nights they have rocks and Guinness. Rocks are oysters in English terms. And so we just had that, and we were leaving, and he was leaning against the front wall of the pub. And I asked him, I said, "Do you mind if I take your picture?" And he goes, "No." And I popped off 3 or 4 frames, and then I said, "Would you like me to send them to you?" He goes, "No." And then the one of the gentleman on the other side of Anastasia, the big Anastasia print, he was coming out of a 7-Eleven in Manchester, England. And I said, "Would you mind if I take your picture?" And he goes, "No, that'd be fine." So I got like 3 frames of it, and it looks as if I had lit it in the studio. But the light coming across the side of his face and from the back is the interior light of the 7-Eleven. And then the main light coming from the left is a street light. Very fortunate. And last week I was talking to Carl, and I thought I had lost the file. And I went a little crazy on that and started tearing through all these hard drives, and I found it. Got it. And I put it in 6 different places now. Most of you probably recognize Carlos. Let's see, who all are bartenders from LA? Because that's when you want to find somebody to photograph, everybody goes, "We're actors." I said, "Well, what do you do while you're getting ready?" And there are servers and bartenders and comedians and da-da-da-da-da. So most of the people from LA are actors, but they do something else. Like she was a bartender, and I've probably known Erica 10 years now, and photographed her I don't know how many times. But to me, that's the centerpiece of this whole bunch of pictures. It was shot in my living room in Los Angeles, and she showed up with that wig, and I go, "Oh, okay, I know what we're gonna do now." There are 3 of Anastasia. Where's she standing?
She's right here.
She's right here.
Yeah.
The natural light one in the floor spot over there was shot on the 3rd floor of Jack's camera. That was amazing window light coming in up there. And this one was shot up there. Let's see, and the other Anastasia is all the way down at the end on the bottom. And the thing that you don't see that's going on in that picture is that she's jumping on a mini trampoline. To get the volume in the dress, I had her jump on the mini trampoline. Yeah.
Lots of times.
Lots of times, yes.
You look so graceful, because when I jump on a mini trampoline, I'm like, ugh.
And Erica, there are two of her here, in the white dress by itself.
Gorgeous.
She's an actor, and pretty serious actor now, but no, I'm sorry, that's the oldest one here. That was probably six years old. She asked me to photograph a TV show for her called Posers, and so we had the entire cast. I rented a studio downtown LA because I wanted to do it with natural light. And I said to her, just bring a white dress, because I got something we need to shoot when we're done shooting the cast. She goes, okay. And she showed up with that dress, which was perfect. I've always wanted to do a companion piece to that, but I just haven't found the right person to put in. Let's see, there are some musicians here. The two all the way to the left, the top one, they're both recording artists. But when I made the picture for the gentleman at the bottom, he said, I need a picture that makes me look like a pool player. Because he wanted to go and try out for this part in the film. Well, he got the part, so I think we succeeded. But and Carlia, the one above him, she has a voice that's just outrageous. I photographed her like 7 times and never got paid. Warner Music.
Did she sing for you?
Warner Music. Yeah. Let's see. Did anybody see the film U.S. versus Billie Holiday? So the gentleman in the upper left is Tone Bell. He's a friend, because really interesting thing about LA is that industry people go to specific spots, and then it's that spot, and that's almost everybody that goes in there. And we would go to this place called Pat's Cocktails, and there were electricians and DPs and camera operators and actors and comedians and musicians and producers and just about any job category that you can think of, makeup artists, and they all went there. And I was going there 2 years before I knew it was an industry bar, because I didn't bug people, you know. And then once I learned it, still didn't bug people, but it was like Cheers. When you walked in the door, they go, Ron, or Bob, or whoever walked in the door. But Tone, he's a crazy comedian. He tours all over the world. And he was doing the film, the Billie Holiday film when I shot that. And because they coiffed his hair a particular way for the film, and he would leave it that way at night. And he'd just gotten these new glasses, and I said, I have an idea. I want a modern day Malcolm X. So, black t-shirt, well actually it was a black hoodie. And I prepped for that for days, and it took, I'll bet he wasn't in my living room for 15 minutes. But that one is, I'm really pleased with that one. The one below it, she's a stylist, makeup artist. I love that the light is just, I was trying to figure out today what to call the light, but I think I'll call it motivated light. That's the, I think that's the whole deal. A lot of light is not motivated. It doesn't make you look where the photographer wants you to look. So the bottom right is a photographer from London. I shot that in Manchester in a restaurant. There was a lamp in the middle, hanging in the middle of the table, and it was a basket. So it would put out these fractures of light. And that was a few hours before I shot the gentleman outside 7-Eleven. But he's a character, right? I mean, it's a good picture, but it's not a great picture, but I wanted it in here just because it was Jimmy. You know. Has everybody seen the one color picture that's in the show? That was shot in my living room in LA. It looks very monochrome, with the exception of that patch of light around her eye, and it's not changed. It is a colored photograph, but the exposure is so down on it that it looks monochrome, with the exception of the color of the eye. There's no Photoshop on that, except maybe I retouched a little something here or there on her face, but that's just the way it was shot. Let's see. This is Fatima. She's a life coach and actor and model. But I was out there in October working on a job with Raquel Welch, and it was like the 13th year I'd done that. And I stayed for like 4 or 5 days afterwards, and I knew I wanted to make some photographs. So I hired Fatima, and she was coming the second day. I was going to be in this hotel, and the hotel room was like 1,500 square feet. And it had windows that wrapped around 3 sides, and they were about 5 feet tall. And so the first day I was there, I just walked around the hotel room and watched the light and wrote down the times of when it hits here and when it hits there. And so by the time she got there, I'd hired her for 2 hours. And by the time she'd gotten there, I go, okay, so between this time and this time, I want you to sit here. And the one down there of her, that was like the last thing, and that was the only soft light that I really had to deal with. But she brought a lot of emotion to the photograph, and I really appreciate that. I mean, as opposed to Anessa, she's like staring the camera down. That's an emotion. But she was laying on the floor in my living room, and I'm standing across her shooting straight down like this. And I just love the photograph. I love the sense she has. She's a recording artist as well. Stylist. And this was the first time she'd been photographed. But she worked at a place called the Ruby, where it's like stylist heaven. It is, they have every type of clothing that anyone could have for men and women and children. And it covers every designer and all this. Anyway, so I saw her out there because I was picking up something for a shoot, and I said, well, do you mind, would you like for me to photograph you? And she goes, sure, yeah, that'd be great. But she was a little afraid because it was afraid the first time. I think she comes off pretty strong, and I let this fall in there, because I felt like that would help reinforce the strength. Carlos, this one, I got like 4 pictures out of that I could have put in the show. You know, because he's got that, when he puts his head down like this, and you feel the strength, and the Dominican comes out. Oh, this is Chantal again. This is the one with the color eye. But a really strong person. She was in the Navy, worked on a aircraft carrier. And so they used to jump off the end of the ship and land and swim around below. But anyway, she was really strong, but liked really frou-frou ladies' clothes. Like pink, fluffy dresses and all that. So they were great. So you're probably wondering why there's a bathroom selfie up here as my picture. That's because we traveled so much, that became the thing that I did. I would do a bathroom selfie and then post it on Instagram. So I guess that's something to be known for. Huh?